Because when we mingle with white people, we're very aware that we might be in danger. And that's when we show that we know how to act. If truth be told, we straighten up. But when we're around each other, we get real loose. And then we get real wild. So we have to keep a certain amount of distance from each other until we have something constructive to do or say. As a rule, I'm not talking about all the time and applies to all black people, but too many of us. This is why you have all this grief among black people. It's because we are toxic. The white supremacists have seen to that. We don't like other black people, and we won't admit it, and we don't like ourselves because there's not a whole lot to like with what we have been turned into, and we have to recognize that. But we can become likable people. We can begin to like ourselves, but you only like yourself when you're doing something constructive. We know that we're doing something that's deteriorating, that is nothing to like, and it shouldn't be liked. We shouldn't glorify stupidity. But we got to the place where we started doing that, starting about 30 years ago, right after the 1960s riots and whatnot, when we started getting a little bit of sense and sensibilities about how the world is run and what to do about it. And we started losing that in the 1970s because the white supremacists started steering that in that direction. So then we became hostile toward each other, like we've never been before. I mean, just across the board. And that hostility is still there. And we have to get rid of that poison as fast as we possibly can. And the remedy for doing that is just make sure that when you pick up the phone to make contact with somebody that you know, that you have something constructive to say. If you don't have anything constructive to say, just simply don't make the call. And that way we become a more thoughtful people. It's not that I'm saying we should stay away from each other and just don't talk to each other and that would be carrying out the racist mission. I'm saying we should interact with each other. Every contact should be constructive.
Mm-hmm.
When you say something to a black person and you walk away from that black person, you should walk away feeling a little bit better, or a whole lot better, just from having made that contact, because it's been so constructive, so helpful to you or to them. And if everybody does that everywhere on the planet, most of our problems will be solved just by that alone. Just making sure that every contact has a constructive effect. And you do this in advance. You do this before you make the contact. You don't wait to make the contact and then start trying to feel in your way, because that might get all messed up. You have your plan about what you're going to say or do before you call Henry or Mary or Kia or whatever, and have it all planned out and know that it's going to have a constructive effect. It's going to be something very effective in helping somebody do something that's going to be constructive, either yourself or the other person or the two of you. I want to emphasize that over and over again. When I say no contact, no conflict, I mean unnecessary random contact, because that leads to conflict. The record shows that it does that. You get 500 and 600 black people together, and nobody's told them what they're there for. They don't have any kind of plan. That's a recipe for disaster, like you wouldn't believe. A whole bunch of ugly things are going to happen. Anybody who's ever been in that situation has seen that happen over and over again. And so that's the thing that I want to emphasize.